This is TWiT.
What about the watch? Any thoughts on the new Series 5? You wrote the world's best watch.
Yeah, I think they really nailed. Like, I think they were in the beginning. They weren't great at anything, but they sort of gave us a glimpse at what a wrist computer could be. And then slowly but surely, year after year, they knocked out. Like the second year, they made native applications. The third year, they made LTE. The fourth year, they gave it the redesign. The fifth year, it's an all. And slowly but surely, they've been removing impediments. And this one is like, this is the one that stopped it being a watch. It couldn't work as a watch before.
Right, you
and
can
now
tell the time with it all the time.
Yes.
Wow, what a thought! What a feature! It's an actual watch. I'm sorry,
and
Luis.
their implementation is really clever.
Which is?
The implementation is really clever.
Oh,
like
okay.
a lot of previous watches would give you like a 1980s LCD display on top of your watch, and it would switch between modes, or you'd have to manually do it. And this is just all your watch faces are just there, and they just go slightly dimmer.
Nice. I haven't gotten mine yet. I'll get it this Friday, but I can't wait. Louise, what were you going to say? Do you wear an Apple Watch? No. Yes.
I don't know. This is a scrunchie.
A scrunchie. Close enough. You know what? Until recently, that told time as well as an Apple Watch.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's back. But I am kind of tempted for the first time. I am somebody who's a little wary of another computer strapped to my wrist at all times because, I don't want to be glued to my phone any more than I already am. But I think the price point now, and there is I think some great features at this point. So I am kind of tempted to have the Apple Watch. But I feel like the biggest thing is if you're like an athlete, I think that seems to be still the biggest draw. But one thing I'm still kind of hesitant about is the battery life. Apple advertises this as monitor your sleep, monitor your exercise, monitor your stress.
Never take it off.
It's going to die.
Yeah.
You can't actually monitor your sleep cycle and then go straight to monitoring your exercise and your stress at work or whatever, because you need to charge it. So I think that's still kind of something, an open question for me is the battery life. And that's your normal watch, you can just leave on all the time and you kind of forget about it. But the idea of having, I love my AirPods, but the idea of having 3 Apple devices that I need to constantly be worrying about the battery life on is just not super appealing, especially if you want to be using it kind of as a health monitor, which I think is something that Apple has pushed so much.
All right, Rene, what's the verdict? Battery life.
So far, I've got about the same battery life. Russell Hawley took him on one of his giant torture tests yesterday, and he got slightly better battery life on the new one after biking, I'm guessing, 500 kilometers or something ridiculous like he usually does. So it's been about the same. And what they did this year was their goal was to give you the always-on feature without impacting it. And you're right. Mine goes about a day and a half. It depends on how many workouts they do during a day. And they did address the sleep thing. Apple famously bought Bedit, but then hasn't integrated their own sleep tracking yet. I'm guessing that might be next year's big feature and they'll address it. But now it's sort of like, do your sleep tracking, get up, put your watch on the charger, go make coffee, go to a shower, whatever, then pick it up again and go to your yoga or go to work or do something like that, which is a lot of overhead to manage, especially without AirPower to sort of do everything at once for you. But my old watch lasted for 3 years, but if I had a fall on my bicycle, it wouldn't call 911. I couldn't make phone calls on it. It didn't do any, it didn't remote control the alarms in my house. So I'm willing to make these trade-offs, but I do hope that one day it's like every week instead of every day.
Rene, how long does it take to charge? To go from
that's a good question because I usually put it on overnight, but it is fairly quick. It doesn't use Qi because Qi couldn't deliver. It's a superset of the Qi standard because regular Qi wouldn't charge it fast enough. So they're doing sort of like a fast charge off of a Qi-like charging system. But I'll run some tests for you.
It charges pretty fast, but not fast enough. Yes. If you've been sleeping in it and you just go to make coffee, it's not going to charge all the way.
That was one of the few rumors that didn't come true is that we would have sleep tracking in the Apple Watch.
Well, and there are already plenty of good sleep tracking apps, like Sleep Cycle, for example. You don't need to wear it on your wrist.
Yeah.
Sleep Plus is good too.
I actually think sleep tracking is a really bad idea. Partly because every morning my wife gets up and says, I got 81%. What was yours?
It keeps me up at night worrying about it, Leo.
Yeah, that's what actually I read a study that said the people who are using sleep trackers sleep more poorly because they're obsessed with how they're sleeping.
Worried about it.
And I honestly,
it's like quantum mechanics.
When I get a bad
sleep
score,
observed.
I feel good today, but let me just see if I should. My sleep score today was it's not set up yet. All right, but
new phone, who dis?
New phone, who dis? Exactly. Jeez.
So I find Sleep Cycle works really good if I have like a bunch of notes of activities that happened and in detail. And I actually have been using it for years, and I have a pretty good idea of what keeps me up and what doesn't keep me up. I know I should stay away from tequila.
But come on, you knew that already.
Yeah, I did.
Really? You needed an app to tell you that?
There's an app for that, Leo.
Dwight, you might want to stay away from tequila.